Hello and welcome to the Sports Report. This is Mike Prince, and we are the official voice of Waller County Athletics, bringing you coverage for the Waller Bulldogs, the Hempstead Bobcats, the Royal Falcons, and, of course, the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. We had a rough road in Brenham on Friday night. The men who took a 6-1 district record on the road to Brenham could not find a way to get the ball into the hoop on Friday night, as the Cubs had their way with the Bulldogs by the score of 72-38, and it caused a potential log jam in the current 4A Region 3 District 18 basketball rankings. The Bulldogs, as I stated, came in with a 6-1 record, which was first place in the district. They were followed by Montgomery, who was at 5-2, and Brenham was in that log jam with three other teams at 4-3. So you had Brenham, Huntsville, and Rudder all started the night off at 4-3. Carrying the tail end of the district would be Magnolia at 4-4, Willis at 2-5, Caney Creek at 2-5, and Magnolia West at 1-6. Well, as a result of last night's game, there was some pretty staggering numbers that stood out as a result of why the Bulldogs had struggled. And let me say this for the record, the game or sports in general, you just have days where it's just not your day, and you just got to go through and carry out the assignment that was been issued to you. And that was definitely the case on Friday night for the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs, generally a outstanding outside shooting team, they just could not get a basket to fall. We'll give you some numbers about that, some staggering numbers about that momentarily. You had overall performance by both squads, pretty competitive athletic group of young men going up and down the court. The player of the game would have to be, no doubt, Mr. Cortland Sutton. Sutton scored 23 points for the Brenham Cubs, and this man was pretty much a one-man wrecking crew. He had 16 points at the half, and he ended up with a total, as stated, of 23 points. Now, the leading scorer for the Bulldogs had two with a total of 8 points, and that was senior guard David Matoya and junior Course Thibodeau. Both of these guys had 8 points, and normally a young man that they rely on a lot was just missing in action on Friday night, and that was Mr. Tidarius Harris. Harris had a total of 6 points, and he got all of his points in the first half, and more importantly, all his points came from the free throw line. Had no field goals in that contest, and that goes to the type of night that we're talking about as far as the Bulldogs and their shooting. The Bulldogs were 16 of 31 from the free throw line. And here is the shocker, ladies and gentlemen. They were 0 for 19 from three-point range. 0 from 19 from three-point range. That is almost unheard of. You figure as many times as you would attempt three-pointers, you would at least get one or two to fall. Speaking of, you had 1 of 15 from three-point range for the Brenham Cubs. So that was the telltale of Friday night's contest. Brenham was 14 of 23 from the free throw line, as both teams will be seeing each other down the road. But this was a great opportunity, speaking with Coach Claiborn, to kind of get some degrees of separation throughout the course of the district. Now, there was another interesting factor that took place in this contest. The Bulldogs turned the ball over simply too many times. They had 23 turnovers versus 13 turnovers for the Cubs. So they'll go back to the drawing board, get some things situated, and try to find out how they can correct that. That was a nightmare night. That's all it was, a nightmare night. And the team that was chasing the Bulldogs, the Montgomery Bears, they started off the night with 5-2 record. They were victorious over the Caney Creek Panthers by the score of 68-59. So the Bulldogs dropped to 6-2, and the Montgomery Bears are now 6-2. And Bulldogs will still mathematically be in first place because they're victorious over the Montgomery Bears earlier throughout the basketball season. So now the tables have been set. We'll see exactly how this thing unfolds. It's exciting times still in Waller County, in particular with the Waller Bulldogs, as they make their journey toward the playoff run. This has been an update for Waller Bulldog basketball. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more on the Sports Report. My name is Mike Prince. Keep it locked where you got it. Hey, fellas, this is Mike Prince, and I'd like to let you know that every now and then I find myself in a difficult situation with my wife. And yes, we've been married for a long time, but every now and then I do make a little boo-boo. And when I make a boo-boo, I like to make up with my baby by going to Body by India's World, all natural handcrafted luxury body care products located in St. Louis, Missouri. They're specializing in all-natural body care products for the discerning customer that demands superior quality at the fairest price. Now, you can get in contact with Body by India's World by simply dialing 314-458-3537. Or you can visit their website. That's www.bodybyindiasworld.stetsy.com.
You're listening to the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the official voice of Waller County Athletics, serving the Waller Bulldogs, the Hempstead Bobcats, the Royal Falcons, and the Prairie View A&M University Panthers.
Well, welcome back to the Sports Report. This is Mike Prince with the Open Mic Broadcast Network, and I have on the phone line with me head basketball coach for the Waller Bulldogs, and that is Coach Earl Claiborn. I know we're calling on the tail end of a bitter loss for you on Friday night as you took on the Brenham Cubs, took your show on the road, and for lack of a better word, it was just a rough night for the Bulldogs. Final score 72-38. What's your overall feedback from what you saw on Friday from your seat?
Well, first of all, you got to take your hat off to Brenham for being prepared and playing at the high level of intensity that they played at. And, hats off to those guys, because that's not the same team that we actually scouted on Tuesday night, who actually lost to Magnolia West, a team that hadn't actually won a game. So, hats off to those guys for having a good game plan in and being prepared to play. But, they just outplayed us. Bottom line is we couldn't make a shot. We threw the ball away. We couldn't rebound the ball. It was just one of those nights where we just weren't into it.
Okay, understand. Now, when you say couldn't make a shot, you're not exaggerating on that, Coach, because I'm trying to remember a time when I could recall a team going 0 for whatever. In this case, it was 0 of 19 from three-point range. And, I mean, I've been around the game long enough. Even, Lady Luck would have you get one of them. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. You throw up enough, at least one might go in. Huh?
Yes, sir. And that was and for the benefit of the doubt, Brenham didn't do any better. They were 1 of 15, and that's what I'm talking about. At least one of them would go. That really was the trend setter or the tone setter of the entire night. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that, because we rely upon that three-point shot, as part of our offensive flow, trying to get in transition and trying to get open looks at the three. But, they did a good job of closing out on our shooters tonight, and we were kind of hesitant or timid when the shot was actually there. We didn't actually pull the trigger like I thought we should have. But, sometimes a ball game like this is what you need in order to get your focus back. We'll finish the first round of district 6-2, and hey, we start all over again.
Exactly. Now Montgomery gained a little ground on that same night because they were actually victorious over Caney Creek. They won 68-59. So when you look at it mathematically on paper, you're 1 and they're 2, and with that second round in the near future here is just setting up. But I know we had talked earlier prior to that game how this would have been a game of separation to help broaden that gap. But as the old saying go, there's no sense of crying over spilled milk. And you made an earlier mention in the fact that, and you've been around this long enough, I've been around this long enough, it's just some days, man, it don't matter what you do, it's just not your day.
That's exactly right, and your surroundings has a whole lot to do with that. This was a playoff atmosphere for a young ball club, which we have. We've come a long way in building this program. My first year here, we won 5 games. Second year, we won 7, and then last year we won 13. So we're making progress, and we're moving in the right direction. But this was by far one of the biggest ball games that these kids have played in by far. But I wanted them to get a test of that pressure, because as we move on and the teams get better, this is what it's going to feel like.
Exactly.
And you got to be able to bring energy and play at a high level of intensity if you want to go as far as you want to go.
No doubt about it. And there's one thing, and I can say this being a resident of Waller County, sometimes our student athletes get complacent at just being the top dog locally. And they realize that there are people outside of Waller County who doesn't care about your heroic labels outside of Waller County.
Absolutely.
So when you kind of cross that street and you go over to another neighborhood, you are nobody in their eyes until you prove to them otherwise.
That's exactly right. And then the thing about it now, us being 6-2 and being in tied for first place was actually the tiebreaker in our advantage, because we beat Montgomery in a head-to-head competition so far. But it's still early. But the thing about it is getting the attitudes right, understanding that, we're not going to be pushed around. We're a Waller, and we're going to play hard, and, we're going to compete.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now you got that. You got to hit that corner coming around on your next opponent on the 14th, if I'm not mistaken. You'll be hosting the Willis Wildcats, and that's one of those. That's one of those, to me. That's a trap game, because when you look at it on paper, and I'm just strictly saying on paper, you should not have much to feel threatened by, but you got to play every game out. And this is where really coaching comes in to getting your team focused and say, hey, guys, we got to play this game from first to last quarter.
Well, absolutely. You're absolutely right about that. And my philosophy as a coach is, look what happened in the last ball game. We got blown out. So we don't like that bad taste in our mouth. So the test of a true champion is, how do you respond after being blown out the previous night or the previous ball game? Are you a playoff contender? You find out a lot about your team on how they're going to respond in the next ball game. So we're going to find out. We'll see, and I'm going to challenge them in practice, and we'll find out.
Yes, sir. Now, Coach, you've had a young man who you've been able to coach, and this is your second year coaching him. Just a natural basketball player. I mean, you have some guys. I mean, just a natural basketball player. Now, pretty much he has had the Midas touch. And when the way I'm speaking, I'm talking about Mr. Tadarius Harris. He's had the Midas touch with everything that he touches, the basket just falls through. How do you take a guy who struggled in the game? That's the first time I've seen him struggle in a game where he walks away. This is your leading scorer, and he's well below his team leading average, total 6 points. How do you approach him to get him back mentally for this next game coming up?
Right. Well, the first thing you got to understand is we got to learn how to move without the basketball. Teams are gonna jam him or gonna play boxing one on him by putting a man right up in his chest. So that's one of the things that we've worked on also, by moving without the basketball, and also creating for his teammates more. Now everybody knows that you're a leading scorer, so now they're trying to stop you from scoring. So you are head and shoulders talent-wise. You understand the game, so let's do something a little bit different other than score. Let's create for our teammates. Let's get more rebounds. Let's block some shots. Things like that. So when your offense is not there, you got to do something different in order to contribute to the team, because the whole thing is about the team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And when you have a young man, and the thing about being young, Coach, you and I, we've seen brighter days more bright.
Right. And you're right. We have to remember he's 15 years old.
Yes, sir. And
So
he's a big baby.
Yeah, big baby.
He's a
That's
big
right.
baby. And when we look at it and see that this guy has a big bright future, and if he can learn how to adjust on the fly, then this will make
Right.
all matters, seem to kind of fade away. Now you got your backside of your second half of the schedule setting up and shaping, and I know you would take 6-2 over 2-6 any day of the week. But you
Right.
had success with many of these teams on the first half than what you have in coming up now on the second half. Where do you position your guys mentally? Because right now, theoretically, 6-2 don't mean anything right now. Everybody's 0-0 until.
Right.
And so, how are you
Right.
preparing them mentally for this stretch run?
Well, just like you said, everybody's 0-0. We start all over again. Actually, what I call this now is our playoff run. I'm challenging you to win ball games in the second round. That's if you want to accomplish our goal, which is to make it to the playoffs. So we're going to call this our playoff run. These next 8 ball games is called our playoff run. So we staying focused, doing little things, fundamentally sound, trying to go back in there and get some shooting done, ball handling. But the main thing is just being mentally prepared to play.
Yes, sir. This is Mike Prince with the Open Mic Broadcast Network and the Sports Report. I have on the phone line with me head basketball coach for the Waller Bulldogs, Coach Earl Claiborn. Now, Coach, we've had many conversations before. There may be some people listening to the Sports Report for the first time. And why don't you explain how you got your journey to where you are today?
Well, started out at Wiley College way back in the day, and moved through the coaching ranks through Carthage High School, coached a little bit in East Texas there, at Linden Kildare, Greenville, Texas, and then ended up at Waller after playing basketball, for quite a bit. And this is my way of staying close to the game, and I try to, it's not about me, it's about the kids and about the team. But it's a brand of basketball that I think people enjoy because we try to play up-tempo basketball. We're going to get up and down the floor. We're going to pressure other teams. And it's a style of basketball that you turn on television and you see college playing. That's basically what it is. Everybody touches the ball. There's no one superstar. Everybody touches it. Whoever's open, shoot it. Just we play for each other.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, as one that sits back, and I've watched a mini basketball game, and I've told you personally, I say it publicly, I appreciate what you've brought to Waller High School, and look forward to the years of success as a Bulldog. Because you've tasted the championship as a coach. And for guys, I've won on every level that I've been when I've competed in my athletic days. And when you watch these kids go out, you want them to be able to experience what it's like to be successful.
Yes, and now that you say that, it brings me back to we won the state championship in 2003, and I want them to feel what it feels like to be down there in the Irwin Center down there in the center stage where you got 35,000 people watching you play for the state championship. I want them to feel that and have also a possibility of putting some jury on their fingers before they leave Waller High School. That's what we're building for.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it takes hard work. It takes commitment.
It does.
And believe it or not, it takes better than just being good.
Absolutely.
You have to really strive to be a champion, and striving to be a champion. And I tell this to kids all the time. You should not have to have a coach to tell you what you need to work on. You should know what you need to work on, and every opportunity you're working on that to get better. But and it's not just kids, but it's people in general have a tendency to want to lean on what they're already good at and become what's easy for them
right
to work on.
Right. Well, I tell mine all the time, we work on our weaknesses, not our strengths. Prime example, in practice, we very seldom dribble the ball with our right hand. We're working on that left hand. We want to strengthen that left hand, so now it's strengthened. It's just as strong as the right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Coach, this is a fine opportunity, and I really appreciate you sharing your time. I know you're a busy man. Is there anything that you would like to share with our listening audience before we wrap this segment up?
Well, I just encourage people to come out and support these kids because, the 4 seniors that we do have on the team, they have gone. They're the remaining group of kids that was here as freshmen when I first got here. It's only 4 of them left out of 18 or whatever, so we started out with. And they're exciting to watch. And they just need the community support to come out and support. Let's support basketball like we support football. How about that?
Yes, sir. That sounds good. And for the record, since we got there has been an increase in attendance at the basketball games because the word is getting out. The word is getting out. If you want to see some good basketball, you can truck on down to Waller High School in Waller, Texas, and watch these running Bulldogs do their thing, and just building up that consistency and building up that level of expectation.
Yeah, and remember, we're young.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is. And speaking of, you brought that up. You mentioned your 4 seniors, but majority of your starters are
sophomores,
underclassmen.
That's exactly right. You're looking there with William Wagner, who's a sophomore, Eric Wright is a sophomore, Tydarius Harris is a sophomore, and Xavier Lurie is a sophomore who hadn't even played this year due to shoulder surgery. And then you're sitting there with Charlie Hill, who's a freshman, and Corbin Vines, who's also a freshman. So, the future's bright.
Yes, sir. The future is bright, and the Open Mic Broadcast Network expects to be there while the light is shining.
All
Coach,
right.
I thank you so much for this time and opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Earl Claiborn, head basketball coach of the Waller Bulldogs. This is Mike Prince. We are going to take a break, and we'll be right back with more Sports Report.
The Waller Bulldog Club is a proud supporter for the Waller community. The Waller Independent School District, Pee Wee Football, Little League Baseball, FFA, 4-H, band, cheerleaders, and Waller Athletics. The Waller Bulldog Club is all about the community. Showing support for the youth of Waller County, the Waller Bulldog Club.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in on this week's edition of the Sports Report. We'd like to thank head basketball coach of the Waller Bulldogs, Coach Earl Claiborn. Remember, you can keep up with all the action going on throughout Waller County athletics, featuring the Waller Bulldogs, the Hempstead Bobcats, the Royal Falcons, and the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. And, man, did we have a report coming up for you. The Panthers were in a triple overtime battle against Texas Southern. We'll have that report for you on Monday morning. As a result, for now, we're going to sign off saying God bless, good night, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Remind that you can follow us on Twitter at OMB_radio. I'm sorry, that's OMBN_radio, OMBN_radio. Once again, we want to thank you for listening to the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the official voice of Waller County Athletics. We're signing off for now, but we'll see you on the other side.